They called her the Queen of Country Music, but behind all the fame and success was a woman who never forgot the bad things people did to her. When Loretta Lynn was 90 years old, she finally spoke up and named 7 musicians who hurt her, made fun of her, or tried to take her place. These 7 people weren't just her competition. They were like dark memories from her whole career. When she said their names out loud, it felt like she was revealing Nashville's deepest secrets. It's really hard to believe that the first person on Loretta Lynn's secret list was Johnny Cash. He was the man she used to call her brother in faith. They both grew up poor in America. In the early 1970s, they went on tours together, prayed together, and would often sit backstage talking about verses from the Bible. Loretta trusted Johnny more than almost anyone else in Nashville. That's exactly why what happened in 1978 felt like someone stabbing her in the back. Loretta had been asked to be on a gospel music TV special that Johnny Cash was hosting. She thought it was a big honor, and she even flew in early so she could practice for it. But then, just 2 days before they were supposed to film the show, she got a phone call. They told her that her part in the show was canceled. A few weeks later, a nice TV producer told her what really happened behind the scenes. He said the decision came from Johnny himself. Johnny thought Loretta was too outspoken and too involved in politics for a gospel TV show. For Loretta, who had put her whole career at risk by singing songs about birth control and women who were being hurt by their husbands, those words felt like a betrayal of everything she believed in and stood for. "He knew I was like fire," she told a friend later, "but he was supposed to protect me, not push me away." She never, ever forgave him for what he did. When Johnny sent her a letter written in his own handwriting to say he was sorry in 1983, she read it one time, folded it up neatly, and locked it away in a cedar box. Many years later, when a reporter mentioned Johnny's name to her, she simply said, "Some ghosts don't rest easy." For Loretta, that friendship was completely over. The second person on Loretta's secret hate list really hurt her feelings, and it was Reba McEntire. Yes, the red-headed superstar who Nashville decided to call the new queen of country music. That title by itself was enough to make Loretta really angry. Because the truth is, Loretta Lynn was still performing concerts, and was still the queen when Reba came along acting like Loretta didn't even exist anymore. It all started in 1983, when Country Music magazine put Reba on the cover and called her the fresh face of country. Loretta, who had just put out her album called Making Love from Memory, got so mad that she threw the magazine across the room. "Fresh face," she said. "Honey, I'm not even done yet." But what really destroyed the last bit of connection between them happened at the 1987 CMA Awards show. Reba performed one of Loretta's most famous songs, "You Ain't Woman Enough to Take My Man." The audience loved it and went crazy cheering. But Reba never once said Loretta's name or gave her credit. Loretta was sitting in the front row with her arms crossed, and her face looked like stone, completely blank and cold. Later, backstage, when Reba walked past her, Loretta didn't even blink or look at her. People who were there said she told her manager, "I don't clap for thieves." That line spread all around Music Row, and Reba never said she was sorry or apologized for leaving Loretta out of her speech. After that night, Loretta's silence toward Reba became famous. No interviews together, no songs together, not even casual mentions of each other's names. She didn't hate Reba's singing voice. She hated what Reba represented, the industry's new favorite toy, all wrapped up in sparkles and glitter, and sold as Loretta's replacement. Number 3 on Loretta's list of people she would never forgive was none other than Conway Twitty. He was the man that everyone thought was her perfect match on stage. But here's the part that fans never knew about. Behind all those sweet duet songs and playful smiles, Loretta actually couldn't stand him by the time their partnership ended. She once said privately to someone, "They called us a duet, but somehow it always ended up being his show. It all started after their 1973 hit song, Louisiana Woman, Mississippi Man, became hugely popular. Every magazine cover had headlines that said Conway's magic with Loretta. Notice not their magic together, but his magic. When reporters asked Conway about their chemistry and connection, he would wink and say things like, "She just follows my lead." That comment was the last straw for Loretta. The truth was, Loretta didn't follow anyone. She had been writing her own songs and selling out huge concert arenas before Conway ever sang into a microphone next to her. Things really blew up and got bad in 1979. Conway did an interview backstage in Atlanta and made a joke, saying, "Loretta's still got it for her age." He thought he was being funny and cute, but Loretta was standing right there close enough to hear him. She didn't say a single word to him until it was time for her part in the show that night. The band started playing her introduction music. The crowd was screaming and cheering, but she just didn't walk out onto the stage. Conway stood there all alone under the bright lights, while the band members scrambled around, confused and panicking. After that incident, she stopped answering his phone calls completely. When fans begged and pleaded for another duet album from them, she told her manager very clearly, "You can't sing harmony with someone who has a giant ego." Nashville never forgot that line she said. Ever wonder what really happened between Loretta Lynn and Tammy Wynette? Well, let's just say that the country music crown was never big enough for both of them to wear. Loretta didn't just dislike Tammy, she absolutely hated what Tammy stood for and represented. And it all came down to one particular song, "Stand by Your Man." To the rest of the world, that song was a classic anthem that would last forever. But to Loretta, it was everything she had fought against her whole career. "I never needed a man to stand by me," she once snapped angrily. "I told him to move out of my way." That comment was like a bullet aimed straight at Tammy. Their feud and fight started quietly in the late 1960s. That's when record labels began pushing and promoting Tammy as America's sweetheart, the soft-spoken, gentle woman who sang songs about loyalty and heartbreak. Meanwhile, Loretta was out there raising hell and causing trouble, writing songs about birth control, husbands who cheat, and women who fight back and stand up for themselves. Things got even worse when the CMA Awards of 1970 came around. Tammy won the award for Female Vocalist of the Year. During her acceptance speech, she said, "I'd like to thank the Lord for keeping me humble." Loretta was sitting in the audience, and she rolled her eyes and said something loud enough for the people sitting around her to hear. "She's humble like a fox wearing a fancy fur coat." They avoided each other after that moment. Concert promoters tried to get them to work together on a duet album. Loretta flat out refused and said no. "I don't share a microphone with someone who acts weak just to sell more records." And just like that, their rivalry became a legend that everyone talked about. Now, here's where things get really interesting and spicy. Number 5 on Loretta's grudge list was none other than Olivia Newton-John. Yep, the pretty golden girl from Australia who looked way too perfect to ever get dirt on her cowboy boots. And that right there was exactly what Loretta's problem was with her. It all exploded in 1974 when Olivia, who was a pop singer, won the CMA Award for Female Vocalist of the Year. Nashville went absolutely wild with applause and cheering. But Loretta almost choked when she heard the announcement. She turned to her tour manager and said, "What's going to happen next? Are the Beatles going to win an award for Best Bluegrass Music?" To Loretta, this wasn't just about music. It was about being real and authentic. She had spent years and years clawing and fighting her way up from living in a coal miner's tiny shack. She wrote songs about broken hearts and hard work and real life. Then along came Olivia, acting like she could represent country music. Loretta didn't believe it for even 1 second. When the CMA invited Loretta to present an award the next year, she refused to come and said she had scheduling conflicts and was too busy. But everyone backstage knew the real truth. She told a friend, "I'm not clapping for some pop star who's just playing cowboy and pretending." It didn't stop there either. In interviews, Olivia talked about wanting to bring country music to the mainstream and make it more popular. Loretta fired back, but she said it privately to friends, "We don't need someone to save us. We need respect." From that moment on, Loretta drew a clear line in the sand. Real country music came from dirt and hard work, not from disco lights and glamour. This one hurts and stings the most. Number 6 on Loretta's hate list wasn't a rival or an enemy from the music industry. It was her own little sister, Crystal Gayle. And according to people who were close to Loretta, that betrayal cut deeper and hurt more than any newspaper headline or award snub ever could. They both came from the same poor Kentucky dirt and coal mining town. But by the late 1970s, they were living in two completely different worlds. Loretta was the tough, plain-speaking coal miner's daughter who said what she thought. Crystal was all fancy silk gowns, shiny long hair, and crossover pop music success. When Crystal's song "Don't It Make My Brown Eyes Blue" hit number 1 in 1977, the newspaper reporters called her the elegant future of country music. Loretta heard about it and reportedly muttered to herself, "Future, huh? I guess that makes me the past now." Things really exploded and got terrible in 1992 during Loretta's big televised 60th birthday tribute show. Every country music legend and star showed up to celebrate except for Crystal. Crystal's team said she had a scheduling conflict and couldn't make it. But Loretta didn't buy that excuse at all. She told a friend later, "You show up for your family unless you completely forgot where you came from and who raised you." Still, Loretta stayed quiet and didn't say anything publicly about it until a joint interview they did together a few years later. When the TV host asked Crystal what Loretta meant to her career and success, Crystal smiled politely and simply said she was influential. That one single word, influential, broke something deep inside Loretta's heart. From that day forward, she never agreed to do another shared TV appearance or event with Crystal ever again. So, what do you think about all of this? Was Loretta right to hold on to those grudges and stay angry, or should she have let the past fade away and forgiven people? Tell us what you think in the comments section below. And don't forget to click like, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss more untold stories and secrets from country music's wildest and most interesting legends.